Welcome to the live stream, guys. Go ahead and hit that share button. We want as many people live in the chat as possible while we cover markets, go over some of today's hottest stories for cryptocurrencies, and also go over our paper trade portfolio. Yeah, we are the only one-stop shop in crypto YouTube to talk to you about currency mining, about investing, basically to show you the full 360. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Seth. You're watching Mind Your Biz, and in today's live market update, we're going to go over some comments from Ice Cube. Yep, the rapper Ice Cube with reference to Doge. We're going to go over Twitter already being free and open source. I bet you didn't know that, but Twitter actually is already free and open source, but it's been a little while since we've talked about it. Now that Elon Musk has taken over at the helm, I think it's time for us to talk about it again. And then, what is the Polygon Edge, and why was it rebranded from Polygon SDK? Of course, we'll also go over our portfolio, and we'll also go over what is hot to mine right now. I'm going to revisit a couple of things that I mentioned to you at the end of last month. And I tried to sound the warning cry. Some people were upset. Some people didn't like what I had to say. But the market has shown us that a couple of those picks have been very solid, or at least one of those picks has been very, very solid. So I'll tell you what I'm excited about. And you, of course, let me know what you want to see in the rest of the content lineup. Your questions are live. Your comments are live. So go ahead and not only share this link with other people, but let me know what you're thinking, right? You don't have to be subscribed to submit a comment in the live chat now. We've turned that off because a lot of the bots are gone, right? When the price action changes, people tend to put away their bots. Before we jump into our main content, though, I was going to show you the Fear and Greed Index, but it's probably more appropriate that I tell you that this is not meant to be legal, financial, or other advice. Investment advice would have to come from a certified professional to a qualified investor. If you're not a qualified investor, and I'm not somebody that you've given some kind of consideration, some kind of retainer for my advice, then that changes the nature of our relationship. Please don't get upset when I show you some of these projects. Please don't get upset when I debut something to you that you haven't seen before. It's just meant to be a conversation starter for you to go do your own research. So there we go. I'm playing the game, guys. Thanks for playing with me. Fear and Greed Index is at a score of 27. People are kind of excited by, I think, primarily just a move in the Bitcoin price, but we're already seeing a correction as of today. What goes up in conditions like this tends to come down. It's not that it always must come down, but it does have a tendency to do that. So let's take a look at that chart. Over on tradingview.com, you can tell I'm using the free version. It says right there, I'm on a 30-day free, they're offering me a 30-day free trial of the premium version of TradingView. But just with what I have right now, it is, it's enough. It's enough. The little trend line right there, that little channel that we were showing on the daily, well, guess what? That big red candle that everybody else is all upset about puts us pretty much exactly where the Mind Your Biz community thought we would be. Yeah, I'm going to take that dub, guys. I'm going to do a little dance at the end zone because this is pretty much what we expected. This trend has been ongoing for several weeks now. And we showed it right here with the chopsticks. We're not using fancy technical analysis, and I've got nothing against channels that do know how to do technical analysis. Good friend Crypto Wendy O, she does phenomenal technical analysis. You should tune into hers if you want to see technical analysis. But here on Mind Your Biz, we try to just keep it to the fundamentals. We try to just take a look at market sentiment and try to use other tools that help us get a better general idea of maybe what the trend is. Can we predict the future? Probably not. But we can take a look at what's happened in the recent past and make some pretty solid presumption about what will maybe happen then. We're dead center in that little confidence range that we've drawn with the chopsticks. And at first it looked like, hey, maybe we could break out to the upside. After we saw a couple of these breakouts, it became obvious that we had a different pattern going on over a longer period of time. So we redrew these chopsticks. This just makes sense, guys. When presented with new information, it makes sense to update your worldview. And that's what we do here on Mind Your Biz. If we see something that performs well, we investigate. If we see something that has not been performing well, we maybe cut it from the portfolio. And we try to not just be ruled by our emotions, because that's what's getting the rest of the market wrecked. People are letting the price dictate how they feel. You can see that by the trend line also. Almost a guarantee that this number is going to go down at 5 p.m. tonight Pacific time. that's going to be a problem, right? For everybody's just going to have this huge problem emotionally with what they saw on the charts. Euphoria based on price, and then total despair. Again, based on price. Double the size of the candle, volume is a little bit higher as well. So it's not like this is an insubstantial thing. Now, there are some people calling for a melt up, meaning that there's low volume but higher price increase. And you know what? That is, I think what we saw was a little baby melt up. I don't know if it's going to go any higher than that. I'm not an expert enough to know from a technician's viewpoint or from an analyst's viewpoint whether or not we're in for another baby melt up like that, or big face melting melt up, so to speak. The point is, there wasn't a whole lot of volume behind it, and so it wasn't really sustainable. I do know that much, that it wasn't super sustainable based on the amount of volume that we had. So leaving the chopsticks exactly as they are right there. And we're going to call that good for right now, guys. I still think that this is a perfectly fine range to DCA within. Now, is that financial advice? No, not at all. But as we approach the bottom of this range, if this trend continues and we continue to move down towards 30K, or even towards what people are calling the sailor line, right? Or 27K, the max pain line of 27K or 25K, I think there may even still be further downside. But I don't think most people are going to regret doing small DCAs in this range over the long haul. I think that when Bitcoin does return, it's going to return with great strength. That said, I have some other recommendations for where I'm actually putting some of my own crypto when I am getting paid for the marketing work that I do, for the consulting work that I do, and for the online sales that I do. When I'm getting paid natively in crypto, I'm not actually DCAing into Bitcoin right now for myself. I have Bitcoin and I do view it as a long-term savings, but if there's a huge discount to be had on Bitcoin, I'm not going to buy it over at what I think is an inflated price. So I'm likely going to hold out a little bit longer before I start doing more aggressive DCAs. We could just redefine this range, and maybe that's the most responsible thing for me to do here on Mind Your Biz. Maybe we do need to start saying that the green range, and we'll just kind of redefine this for the future. The green range starts for us, like where we're willing to DCA. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even let us go that far down. Okay, there we go. Where we're willing to DCA is somewhere in the vicinity of, got to bring it all the way down to what I think the possible max pain is, and I think that's about 14K. So we're going to call that the bottom of the range where we're willing to buy. Now, if we go back in history, once we saw that Bitcoin went over 14K, you can see that's way above the line, the recent high, the recent top for Bitcoin. We can even bring that a little farther down to about 12.5K. And that basically shows us that once we punch through that resistance, again, we'll go back in time here. Once we punch through that resistance, big green candle day, finally hitting that new all-time high, and it was pretty much off to the races after that point. That was the biggest candle in that week time frame, or in that month time frame, biggest green candle day, and then we held that support above 12.5K, and it kind of edged its way up, sort of moving up before it hit the knee of the curve and went pretty much parabolic. When you zoom out over this month, went pretty much parabolic. So I think maybe this is a better, more useful range for us to take a look at here on Mind Your Biz. Say this is all, in my opinion, this is all perfectly fine DCA range, because we're not seeing those massive breakouts like we did in the yellow range here, or up in the red range where I was saying, yeah, maybe don't be focused on DCA at this point. Guys, if you're lurking, thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for smashing like and sharing this video while we're live. It makes a difference. I know you think it doesn't, but right now especially, when people are scared because of what they're seeing in the equities markets, when people are afraid because of what they're seeing in the cryptocurrency markets, especially with Bitcoin, which is a bit of the gold standard. I'm going to continue to say that. I think it's a perfectly fine narrative. But when people get scared seeing the value of digital gold go down, they are looking for something that helps them make sense of it. Now, I'm not offering advice, but I am just taking a look at these markets, taking a look at these charts, and giving an alternate perspective. Different from the technicians, different from the analysts, different from even a lot of the miners. I like to try to synthesize a lot of those different sides of the cryptocurrency markets, and I think it's pretty important for us to have that different perspective. So, I mean, otherwise I wouldn't do it, right? So thank you for your support. Really appreciate that. The Deadwood is in the chat saying, hello all. He says hello to the rest of the fam. Guys, appreciate you all being here. But let's take a look at that again. We've expanded this green range. to go back in time and now say that's pretty much that marked the massive run up, and we're going to delete, right, some of these big wick days, right, that big wick energy way back when it was like, oh my gosh, is it happening? And then it finally happened, right, in July of 2020. Things really took off. We broke through right about here, and I'm going to actually bring that farther forward so we can see, have that more correspond. There we go, in October, when it really correspond to the dates when we really saw things punch through 12.5K and find support above 12.5K. I think that's more important. But at this point, I think the chopsticks are going to stay where they are for now. But I think that us moving down, we can continue, like, we can pretty much just say, like, all right, let's just use our chopstick method. If we maintain this momentum, which we won't, guys, that's another thing that is for sure. The only constant in these markets is change. So we will see a different rate of change. We will see different patterns. We'll see different sentiment in the markets. But we're going to just do our very, very, very simple representation of the two chopsticks. We're not going to define a descending triangle or an ascending triangle. We're just going to go parallel for some confidence bounds. Very, very imprecisely, right? But just to have something on the chart. This is as far into the future as I'm willing to put these, because we're still in the middle of a red candle day, and this could be the point at which we break down, right? Massive red candle and gets us out of this channel, like we saw. 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple of little movements upward, right? So try to come up once, bounced again for 2. Third bounce, fourth bounce, fifth, sixth, seventh. I mean, is it lucky 7 golden exposures, 7 golden touches? I've got no idea, guys. And that is where it comes in handy to talk to a technician or an analyst who knows some of these patterns and can look back on some fractals. So I'm not going to go too deep there. But I am very confident that we can just leave these chopsticks here, and when something changes, we change them. That's fine. For right now, though, they've served us quite well. They told us a little bit about the general trend where Bitcoin has been. And who knows, maybe we need to go ahead and just engulf the bottom of that as well, the bottom of that last red candle there, and call this the new center as that red candle continues to move downward. Maybe that's a more safe way of doing it, but nah. Let's go ahead and go about to the middle there, median-ish. Party Farm is saying, yeah, I see liquidity zones at 29.8, 24.9, and 19.5, as well as 13.9. Basically, every 5K on the way down to 14K. I think any of these zones could be hit. Yeah, hey, and I'm going to take your word for it. That's just it. I think there's so many valid ways of looking at these charts, slicing these candles, and so that's why for me, I'm just like, I'm leaving it here because it's more than throwing. I think it's maybe a step above throwing darts at a board, but it's at least throwing darts at something you can see. I think the way I'm doing it. But appreciate that feedback there. The Deadwood says, "Hope you're well, Seth." Yes, I am. Thank you for asking, Deadwood. Thank you for saying so. Likewise, guys. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. It's spring where I am. I'm just been spending a lot of time in the garden, spending a lot of time hitting the weights again, and it feels great. You got to take care of your health, boys and girls. Health is wealth. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Health is wealth, and time is money. We're going to see the value of a dollar change. We have to think about the value of a day, not the value of a dollar. Let's see. Deadwood is also saying, yeah, been thinking we'll see between 24 to 28K. Yeah, I think that's not only totally possible, I think it's entirely possible we could pass right through it, and we could see the bear cost to produce a Bitcoin. It has happened before, right? It has retraced all the way down below the average price of mining in most established markets, right? In most first world markets. So it wouldn't be a shock to see it happen again. This would also be the first time that Bitcoin is having to really do its job, right? Really be put to the test. 2008, we've never seen anything like it since Bitcoin was created. So it may get its, like I talked about it not being a trial run before, but then markets somehow recovered. We didn't see equities completely fail the way they appear to be almost completely failing right now. So buckle up. It's going to be bumpy for sure. Definitely going to be bumpy. All right, guys, that's about as much as I am willing to do on this chart right here. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll actually get into proper TA and we'll put some different target ranges on the chart, but not today. Not today at all. Let's talk about some of our news cycle. Did you know that Ice Cube was a Doge fan? I didn't until today. He tweeted about it. Ice Cube says he's down with the Doge Army. Yep, says right here. He retweeted Bill Lee saying, "Come on with it, Bill. You know I'm down with the Doge Army." And yeah, that got some people pretty excited. I mean, you got a lot of likes, a lot of retweets. And this kind of brings me back to a project that I brought up at the end of April. And I'm going to just kind of, not without shilling, guys, without shilling. I'm not trying to shill anything. So big disclaimer there. What I do want to say is I've been looking more and more at this project, and apparently their white paper was just updated. So I kind of want to put this on your radar again. If Ice Cube is down with the Doge Army, would he be down with the Doge chain? Wrapping those Doge coins onto an EVM network. And as I understand it, this is using Polygon Edge, which I did a deep dive into yesterday. Rather, I watched their broadcast for Polygon Edge and Supernets, and they got to me, right? It reached my understanding. I think that I get Polygon Edge and specifically the Polygon Supernets, that concept, a lot more now. And if that's what Dogechain is building on, it kind of increases my confidence in that project a bit more. I'm taking baby steps towards this project. And I guess it's, thanks to Ice Cube. Today was a good day. Thanks, Cube, because you got me thinking about Doge, and then that made me think about my pick from last month, potential moonshot picks, Dogechain. What do you guys think? Have you taken a closer look? I'd love to get your feedback live. I talked to you about it a couple of weeks ago now, almost 2 weeks ago now. And I tried to put it on your radar, tried to put Maximus DAO on your radar as well. While they were still minting, did anybody get in? Because Maximus DAO is now trading at a premium of 15% over Hex, which is what would have been the collateral for that mint. Again, I'm not asking you for your feedback on Hex. I'm not asking for your feedback on Richard Hart. I'm not asking you for any feedback on any related project like Pulse Chain or whatever else, just Maximus DAO. That was the pick from 2 weeks ago when they were still minting. Did you take a closer look? Because I asked you to. I tried to bring it to you at a time when it mattered, right? Like, I'm trying to do right by you, show you projects that are going to help you out. And it looks like now, in under 2 weeks, it's up 15% over the collateral that was used to create it. Not many projects can say that, right? And not only that, but if we look at the historical charts for the collateral that was used to create it, pull that up, guys. Got to do it. Got to do it because I am trying to do the right thing by my audience. If we look at the collateral that's used to create it and use the 14-day chart here, this is Hex's price. Hex is up over 2 weeks to this extent. When we talked about that on the 25th of April, you could buy Hex for about 12.5 cents, roughly. So it was on the biggest discount that it's been over the last 2 weeks. That's when I told you about it, right then, on that day, almost exactly that time of day. You had the opportunity to buy it under 13 cents, about 12.5 cents, well, then mint some Maximus DAO. Guess what? Then it took off. It ran way up to about 18.5 cents. You couldn't sell that Maximus DAO at that point. And then moving forward, once Maximus DAO was finally minting, it's run up again. Now the current value, well, recent high, recent top for Hex is about 19.8 cents. It tried to get out to 20 cents. Well, guess what Maximus DAO did? 23 cents. And it's holding its value extremely well. But it is holding its peg to Hex very much because it's also it is distributing, right? It's distributing all of the staked rewards of the T shares and distributing all the staked rewards of the Hedron coins that were minted from that massive DAO stake. So again, I'm not trying to become some Hex maxi right now, guys, but what I am saying is smart money did this, and I followed some smart money over to this to try to learn, because I realized that when it comes to all of the rest of the market, I'm dumb. Right? Like I'm not smarter than everybody. So I try to find people who are winning. I try to find people who are doing well, and I'm going to try to learn from them. And if there was ever a time that we needed to, guys, it's right now. I said on that live stream that the riskiest thing to do in a market of uncertainty is take zero risk. If you think you're taking zero risk, you're going to slide back with the double-digit inflation. You're going to slide back with the current price chart of Bitcoin. You're just going to be along for the ride. If you try to hodl it, okay, you're going to be very, very safe. You're going to feel very, very safe hodling it on this trend. If there's a breakout, happy day, you're lucky. But if you're acquiring as we approach the sailor line, and it continues to dip. Well, how do you buy the dip when you're all in? Like, you got to have dry powder at least. So I'm trying to think of how to stay liquid, how to have dry powder. And the reason that project, Maximus DAO, made sense to me is that it keeps all of those staked rewards from Hex liquid. So, I mean, you get to have your stakes and eat them too. You have to have the staked rewards and stay liquid so you have dry powder. If you really needed to, you could totally sell off without the penalties of having to release a Hex stake early, right? Because those penalties are steep. And they're intentionally very steep, but you're not going to hit the same penalties. So anyway, just throwing it out there, guys. Trying to do right by the audience. Deadwood come through with a recommendation for Hero Block. Oh man, I'm happy to take a look at it during the stream today. But we got a couple of news articles as well. Just wanted to, I realize I'm belaboring the point, but these were my picks from a couple weeks ago, guys. That Dogechain project, and seeing Ice Cube tweet about Doge got me thinking, like, oh my gosh. We might be on the right track, because there are some people who are they're a little bit more like noobs in the crypto space, and they're just starting to catch on to, like, oh, meme coins are a thing. Doge, I remember that meme. It's like almost 10 years old now. Bros, can you like wrap your head around that? Almost 10 years old, the meme. Maybe more than 10 years old. Might have been 2011. But like, do you remember when it was new? And it was like, oh my gosh, what a silly meme. Like the original dog that took all the photos and was licensed is now dead. It's that old. Because dogs don't live that long. But anyway, it got me thinking about it. And we've got these newcomers into the markets who are like, oh yeah, meme coins. That kind of makes sense. Want something funny. Haha, oh, Doge is funny. And they're still coming in. We're still very early. Like, we always think this stuff is played out, but there are new segments of retail that are kind of like laggards that are coming into cryptocurrency markets. And they're not dumb. They're just, just a little bit late to the party. So kind of interesting to see that we got Ice Cube talking about Doge. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, my gosh. Emphasize Bill Lee's decision to purchase 25 Fire Tier editions of Big Three's Aliens for $600,000 worth of Doge. Woo! Largest commercial transaction conducted in Dogecoin. I'm just here to say, I think that Dogechain does stand a real shot, especially after I looked at the event yesterday from Polygon, explaining Polygon Edge, which is just the SDK, just been rebranded, and then explaining the Polygon SuperNets and how that all works. Expect to see a full breakdown on our second channel. It's going to be the first video that we release. It's going to be an explainer on Polygon Edge. I think there's a need for it. After I watched that hour and a half long broadcast, hour and a half long broadcast, I realized this is good and all, but I mean, could you explain to me like I'm 5? Could you actually just take the key points away and make this much simpler? Because for most people, they don't need an hour and a half of explainer on one network per se, unless you're going to become a programmer and you're trying to learn one niche thing there. So anyway, the Deadwood saying, I'm so close to just splitting an ETH on Hex and Flux, but it's so hard to let go of ETH. Yeah, no, I hear you. Especially when the gas fees are high. On bad gas days, no, very hard to let go of ETH. But I'm not going to give any kind of financial advice there. I think that Flux is great. We are confirmed to have that very respectful debate between Daniel Keller and Greg Osuri. I will be actually moderating a panel, or be on a panel with Greg Osuri in Austin, Texas for Decentral 2022 in Austin. I'm super excited about that. There's a strong possibility that I may be on another live crypto event stage with Greg or alongside Greg, also in the month of June. Details to be determined, right? Not totally certain just yet, but it's confirmed that I will be in Austin, Texas, and I will be raffling off. Am I going to be raffling off a ticket? I think I'm definitely going to be able to give you guys 30% off. Let me just double check. I'm going to do this live, guys. I don't often do this, but I'm going to do it live. I'm doing it live. Gosh darn it. I want to quickly check to see. There we go. Got it. Yes. Okay. All you guys need to do is, if you go to the Eventbrite for Decentral, not only under the agenda for decentral.com/agenda will you see me on the speakers list, but if you use mineyourbiz22. So mineyourbiz22 as a code at checkout on Eventbrite, you will get 30% off of your Decentral tickets. If you're in the Austin area, the greater Austin area, San Antonio, or anywhere where that makes sense, maybe as far as Waco. Obviously, if you're in DFW, let's still drive down. Whatever, just try to avoid traffic on I-35 or whatever. But yeah, if you're in the area, come check it out. It's going to be a great time in Austin. If you know Austin, the nightlife's great. The people are plenty friendly and warm, and it's going to be an awesome event down in Austin early June. So going to put that down in the description of this video. If you're watching after the fact, it'll be one of the top links for the news articles today. But mineyourbiz 2022 gets you 30% off of Decentral. I would love to see you there. I'd love to hang with you there. All right. We're going to have fun. I can promise you that. If you're there, we're having fun. So yeah, leave that at that. But I'm excited, guys. I'm really excited about the Decentral cloud space. I'm really excited about all of the strongest projects right now, and talking about some of the shared problems that they face, and talking about how we overcome some of the biggest hurdles by way of legislation and by way of just infrastructure in the next several months, maybe the next couple of years. If we are really starting to kick off into what will be sort of an extended crab market, at least, or maybe a bear market, then you guys know this is where I shine. I want to talk to these builders. I want to go see them face to face. I want to get out there and mingle with everybody in the space, and I want to try to help those builders grow, right? I want us to thrive because we're holding on to the best projects and we're trying to help grow together, right? So I love that Deadwood brings up Flux. They're another really great team. So shout out to Daniel Keller and the team over there at Flux Network. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you guys about these two projects again. And just for the sake of jogging your memory, it's Maximus Cash. Maximus.cash is the name of the Maximus DAO site. It's not too late to get exposure to it, but the reality is people who got in during the minting phase, they're the ones who are getting a premium now. You're now going to be paying spot to get exposure to Maximus DAO. I tried to warn you when it was still a good time to get into Maximus DAO. So take that for what it's worth. You can at least check out their website, and you can, of course, read up more about it. Got some bad news about the device that you see down below my face, the MyYourBiz phone, so phone.myb.lol. Bit of an update here. I am pausing orders on the MyYourBiz phone, possibly for just the first part of the summer, maybe through the summer. Why am I doing this? Well, supply chain is good, and I want to go through a tutorial with you instead on this channel about how you can build your own. You can save the cost of what would be my margin for labor, and I can focus on some of the other things that I'm doing. I think I personally view it as a win-win. I want to help educate you and empower you, help you get the best information, help you have the best security that you can possibly have, help you be as private as you possibly can, help you get exposure to the best projects that you can. And I think that right now, the best way for me to do that is not to sell you the product itself, MyYourBiz, and apply margin for myself. I think at this moment, the best way for me to do that is just to share a really good tutorial with you on what I think are the best practices. And then I'll leave my privacy guide up on the mineyourbiz site so you can see my recommended apps for you to load after you've made your own phone. In advance, I say you're welcome. If you have concerns about that, let me know what you think I should make it about. And huge shout out to the Calyx Institute for making Calyx OS. It's a phenomenal operating system. I use it every day. I am considering very strongly a move to Graphene OS, and I have some strong reasons for that. I think either one of them is fine. I don't have an affiliation either way. I don't have a strong preference either way. I did for a time with Calyx OS. I'm starting to lean towards Graphene OS. So that build tutorial is going to be sort of a 2-for-1, showing you how to do either one, because the hardest part is actually just sourcing the right phone. Believe it or not, the hardest thing is finding the correct phones that, in my mind, are less easy to exploit. So that's a lot. I know it's a lot. Kind of more channel updates than anything else, guys. But I'm pretty excited about all that stuff, right? So Dogechain, expect to hear more about it. I still haven't done as deep a dive into the white paper as I know I need to, or the tokenomics. I don't know that there's enough available for me to really fully wrap my head around it yet, but I know they just recently updated the white paper, and so I'm going to do a deep dive on their most recently published version of the white paper. But let's talk about Twitter being open source. Twitter? Open source already. Free and open source software, you say. Yes. Yes, it is. And here's how. We forgot about Bluesky, didn't you? I know I kind of did. Oh my gosh. Oh, go away. Gotta get an ad down here. Okay, first off, oh, you can't see it. I'm going to right click, hit uBlock origin, hit block item. Now you can see that. And try to pick the area. There we go. Going to tell it that I don't want it anymore. Boop. Deleted. See ya. Golden Wolf is in the chat. Yes, proof of live. Not only am I live, I read your comment, Golden Wolf. Scandal. Guys, thank you for sharing the link while we are live. It's so great to be here with you live. You have my commitment to be doing this a little more frequently. We got to come up with a schedule. I've got to come up with a schedule. It's really kind of more my thing. I've been growing the TikTok channel and then bringing some of those shorts back over to YouTube. I'm sure you've noticed, but there is no replacement. Wait, no replacement for displacement, getting out of your comfort zone, being with the people. So thanks for being here with me, guys. Appreciate you. All right. So Twitter, Bluesky, this was something that launched back in 2019. You remember this? You guys, seriously, I'm being like serious. Do you remember this? Because I remember reading about it and thinking, that's cool. I'll believe it when I see it. Bros, maybe one or two sisters. Here it is. Bluesky. It's released the first version of the decentralized social network code. So while you got Elon saying, like, you know what? I'm going to buy $44 billion worth of this here Twitter. Bluesky's like, oh yeah, hold my beer. This is already free and open source. Oh, feels. The feels that Elon must have right now. Like, $44 billion. At least it's a tax write-off, I guess. So, yeah. So this launched back in 2019. Their CEO, Jay Graber, announced yesterday, he says, feel free to play around, but don't try to build your next big social app on this yet. Things are missing, and things are going to change. He said, at Bluesky, we're going to take a middle path of releasing work before it's complete. And here's the thing, guys. That's the open source ethos. That's how it should be, right? Like, open source means you're trying to get the community to put its seal of approval on it. You're trying to get people to put pull requests into your repository and get them to be an active part of crafting the code, not just being vocal on social media, having a community, air quotes, that is trying to, tell you what to do because you're trying to grow the stock price. When it's truly open source, you're trying to get the best and the brightest around the world, no matter where they are, even if they have to use Orbot or a VPN to access your repository because they're in sanctioned countries or whatever. If their code is good and if they mean well, and you can tell because you've audited the code, you want their code. You want them to contribute. That's open source, right? In my opinion, that's the best of humanity that you see right there in the open source community. So yeah, he says, we're going to release work before it's complete, but also give ourselves time to workshop new directions at early stages. Going forward, we'll be experimenting with some different ways to engage publicly to figure out how to strike that balance. I think that's brilliant. And communicating that now makes a lot of sense. They didn't, they didn't have a follow from me before, but they definitely do now. You can't see my screen right now, but I am actively going to be following Bluesky. What's funny is that I thought, nope, I'm already following Bluesky. So yeah, this is exciting to see that they've got that little bit of additional work being published right now. What do you think, though? Would you try to build anything on an open source version of Twitter? Because I don't know that it's ready yet. Like they're saying, if they say it's not ready yet, then I don't know that I don't want to build anything just yet. But you could start building interest, right? That is the thing. It maybe is the right time for a community to start building around, whatever, open source Twitter, or having a domain name of like FOSS Twitter or something. What do you think? Tell me, because I think it's a huge opportunity right now, and they've been building for years. They were doing this in stealth mode for 3 years. So I don't know. I think it's probably time to have a community work for sure. But it is a Twitter-funded venture that was originally proposed in 2019 by Jack Dorsey. In a statement at the time, he said that the purpose of forming an independent branch was to produce an open and decentralized social media standard. So it's more about creating information exchange standards for large social media apps. And, of course, search algorithms, which is like the basis of all of it. Search and content promotion algorithms that people can actually understand. So this is pretty phenomenal, I think, when you got Elon talking about open sourcing the content rank algorithms on Twitter, and of course the mass unfollows and refollows and unsubs and promotion of different quality content on Twitter that's happened, because it's very painfully obvious that the current leadership is like they're off like burning documents, like shredding documents in real time while Elon takes over, like they're trying to cover up all that they've done wrong over at Twitter. So to have that happen while this is being announced, I think it's huge. It's a huge step forward for transparency of data and rather freedom of expression, we'll say. Just freedom of expression on social media. You staying private is always going to be your problem. It's always going to be our problem. We have to take care of our own privacy. And so we have to figure out where the line is for each one of us. But hopefully these standards make that easier to figure out. But they said last month they will continue to build a decentralized social network, while even though it was purchased by Elon, and they imagine, I mean, as you imagine, it's going to impact their plans, of course. But yes, I don't have all that much more faith in Twitter than I ever did. Good friend, nerd girl Nicole Grinstead, she got the 2-day ban hammer, got the 48-hour suspension from Twitter by talking about her health publicly, and she was just talking about her own personal health. And they said that she was spreading misinformation. She was like actually suffering because of a health issue, and just talked about what she was going to do to address her health issue. Did it, started to feel better, and then the moment she started to feel better, it was somehow misinformation. So take that, I guess. Freedom of expression. A little bit sad, but what do you think? Twitter's already technically free and open source, and it has been for a few years based on funding that Jack Dorsey threw their way before he was like, you know what, I'm just done here at Twitter. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe that was his reason for stepping down as CEO at Twitter, was because he knew that things at Bluesky were developing fast enough. So, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting times over the next year or two as we see more of these algorithms change on social media platforms and across the web. But I think that if anything, it's just a greater signal that we need to be that much more cautious about our personal OPSEC and our privacy, where we keep our data, who we let touch our data, and whether or not we give good data to different platforms like Twitter and Facebook or the Meta Corporation and any of the products that they touch. We'll talk about that in another video as well. I think it's important to have a sort of hitchhiker's guide to privacy, or a crash course to privacy. Might be worth doing on, maybe not on this channel, maybe not even on the other channel. Might be worth doing as a private course or something through Patreon. I don't know. You guys tell me if you think that's important, or if you actually want me to put anything together, put my thoughts together on that. It would be, there are various other guides, and I disagree with a lot of them, a whole lot of them. So I don't know. I think maybe there is room for just one more. Tell me what you think. Maybe I'll release it on like Amazon or something, which is already kind of evil. But tell me what you think in the comments, guys. I'd love to get your feedback on that. So that's Bluesky and Twitter algorithm. I mentioned to you about the Polygon SDK, which has been renamed Edge. What the heck is Polygon Edge? Well, I've got here an update from the block. This is a research article commissioned by Polygon itself. It is over 80 pages, 82 pages. I will not be going through it, of course, on this live stream. They asked me to go through a special squeeze page where they got an email address and some fake info from me in exchange for this document. So it would be unethical for me to just release it here on this video. But if you're a member of the newsletter, I mean, I might be going a little more in depth on that. I think it's time for me to finally start invoking that newsletter. We're just shy of 200 members on the newsletter. It's very, very private, guys. It's very, very intimate, the newsletter. And I have not been using it because I haven't been shut down on YouTube anytime recently, so I haven't seen a massive need to do that. But I think it is time to grow that newsletter. If you're not already subscribed to it, please do check it out. It's on Get Review. And of course, it's portable. We can always bring that email list to a different provider if we had to. So do be signed up there. We're going to need to, we're probably going to need to be using that sooner than later. It just kind of seems like that's the case. But Polygon Edge, the Polygon SDK, they've got so many layer 2 scaling solutions. They have commissioned this comparison between Solana, between Polkadot, between Arbitrum and Optimism. They've got so many other contentious technologies in the EVM, the Ethereum scaling space. So what's so special about Polygon? And why did they rename from Polygon SDK to Polygon Edge? Well, as they put it, it's kind of a double entendre, right? Like, have you ever struggled to find the edge of a polygon? It's funny. Anyway, but also the SDK, the Polygon SDK, because they're growing into so many new technologies like ZK rollups, like so many other shared security models, like layer 2 scaling technologies, like sovereign chains that you can bootstrap basically from nothing with their assistance at this point. They're saying, well, this is the bleeding edge. Nobody is doing blockchain as a service for private blockchain and for public blockchain, public sovereign blockchain with timestamping and with shared security across other chains. Nobody's actually doing it quite like Polygon. So it is a unique value proposition, and I get why they renamed their SDK to Polygon Edge. Pretty cool. But Polygon Supernets take that to the next level, and I'm really excited to talk about that on our other channel, on our second channel, when we finally launch. Still in stealth mode there, guys, but that will be what we release with, just so you know. I think there's enough to talk about there. But here's the main article from the Block Crypto, just talking about layer 2 scaling solutions, and then they're very open about the fact that the void, it looks like I've got an excellent connection, guys. I do not know what's going on there. So, oh no, what do we got here? What do we got? Please tell me that my channel is not shut down, guys. Just talking about layer 2 scaling solutions, and then they're very open about the fact. Okay, whew. You guys had me very, very worried. You had me very worried there for a second with that comment. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because there are a bunch of people who are just getting wrecked right now by not only the algorithm, but by YouTube. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you letting me know, confirming that I'm all right. The stream is still live. You definitely did have me worried. Oh no. You know, one thing about the warm weather is if you don't keep that screen door closed, those flies, they love to hang out with you, right? Especially when it's lunchtime. They're like, oh, what are we having for lunch? Nothing, fly. You don't live here. Get out of my house. Anyway, but whatever. So, yeah, some of the layer 2 systems, what I appreciate about the Polygon SDK or Polygon Edge, now moving into the Polygon Supernets model, is that they're talking about full interoperability between all EVM chains. Now, not from a Polkadot parachain perspective, not from a Cosmos IBC perspective, but imagine Ethereum talking to Avalanche, talking to Phantom, talking to BSC, talking to Polygon through a Polygon coordinating layer. That's kind of more what they are working on with Supernets and that interoperability across EVM chains. This is super bullish. It's super powerful. So in the same way that Cosmos and IBC has interoperability as a primitive, but only for IBC chains, the Polygon Supernets model, or the Polygon, their Edge SDK, is going to allow for EVM intercompatibility like we've never seen before. Now, with all the Solidity development that's already out in the wild, all the ERC standards, right, for ERC 20, ERC 721, 1155, and so many others that are in development still, the Solidity smart contracts and Viper smart contracts for lending, for borrowing, for liquidity provision, for AMMs, for DEXs, the Solidity smart contracts that are out in the open source for algorithmic stables, the Solidity contracts that are out in the wild already for ZK snark privacy like Tornado Cash. Guys, this is huge. There is no other smart contract system that has as much building done as Ethereum. So EVM, I'm not going to say that it is that EVM is the Ethereum killer, but it does have a certain ring to it, right? Is cross-chain EVM compatibility across all these other side chains. If that were faster, more seamless, if that worked better, that would be the killer app for Ethereum, because it would make sharding unnecessary on the Ethereum 2.0 roadmap, or at least it would help give more time for sharding to be better, right? And would require that the Ethereum core developers be better before they launch any kinds of features like that, because there would be no reason to launch them until they're good and ready, You know, so I'm pretty excited by what I'm seeing so far on the Polygon ecosystem, and maybe I'm alone, guys. I've definitely in this particular debate, I've had some detractors in the GPU mining space, and in the rest of the sort of like crypto commentary space. There are people who are talking about every other project. I don't know if it's because they have different incentives or because they think that they are like doing some kind of social justice or social or public service by saying like, no, you're a paid shill or whatever. No, man, Polygon didn't pay me to say this. I don't get paid by Polygon. Like, I'm just evaluating the available data. Polygon made it possible for all of us to get paid in microtransactions as GPU miners when everybody else basically lost their minds because of gas fees. All the mining pools made it impossible for at-home miners, right? For hobby level miners to get paid. It was insane. Polygon stepped in, made that possible. Up to 30% of all payouts on Ethereum security were done through Polygon. So when people talk about like, oh, I don't know, it's only secured by a multi-sig, it's not secure enough, I've got problems with Polygon, dude, get over it. Really, that's all I can say is get over it. Like, get on board and try to figure out how they're building, or in my opinion, get left behind because there's way too much going on there. They finally have that much gravity. Anyway, I can finally say that. So, and Deb was asking, will that happen on the metas as each chain partners into those platforms? You know, I'm not totally sure just yet. Oh, man. Golden Wolf is going to pick up pho for the crew. It's too hot, Ryan, for pho. Enjoy that, man. Definitely. Like, nice, nice lean cut, what am I thinking here, roast beef or thin cut roast beef. Do it, man. Do the dang thing. Sounds awesome. So, yeah, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited about that prospect. I need to dig in more into the documentation to figure out exactly how the interoperability is being proposed. But if anybody stands a shot at doing it right now, it is Polygon. They've got the support from Ethermine and from every major mining pool that's serious about working within a decentralized framework. Polaris Raven 13 is in the chat saying, "Hey yo, glad to see you here, man." Proof of live stream, right? I'm going to read your comments, but yeah, they came in to make it possible for small scale miners to actually still get their payouts in microtransactions. Polygon did that. Avalanche didn't do that. Phantom didn't do that. Arbitrum, Loopring, Optimism, they didn't do that. Where were they? They weren't there. They weren't ready, right? They weren't ready at scale. So you can get mad all you want about the technology not being perfect, but done is always better than perfect. Finished is always better than perfect when it comes to just-in-time delivery. Because if you're not ready in time, you're not ready, right? So miners needed somebody to go to market first. They needed somebody to be ready. They needed somebody to have something done, finished, now, not perfect. So in a perfect world, we'd have, ZK rollups that scale, right? That's the perfect world. We would have really, really perfect, like fast ZK rollups. Well, actually, guess who's innovating in that area? Polygon. When they acquired Hermes, they started to, and then Plonky and Plonky 2, they started to innovate in the ZK rollup space. So that's part of their SDK. They got to market first. They built up their value more. They built up their treasury higher. They were able to acquire more intellectual property, and now they have all the intellectual property being rolled into the SDK. So I'm excited about this bleeding edge, right? The cutting edge being the new version of Polygon SDK. I want to read more about it. Guys, I'm going to belabor the point if I continue along that line of thinking. Let's look at our GPU mining profitability. Bring our cost for power up to 14 cents. And what does that mean? It means that you're still kind of eating dirt when it comes to mining profitability, but Ethereum is still the thing to mine. That and nice hashes, thankfully, not trading at a premium right now. So even on that RTX 3090 Ti, you're earning just about $350, roughly. Earning about $350 every single day in profit. Bottom of the line, of course, you're still in the red. The Polaris Edition cards, they're still grinding away, right? Still hashing away, but not making much. So I tried to warn you when I could. Those 4 gig cards, they probably needed to go to some gamer's house somewhere else when you could still make your money back. Not financial advice, but it was just a friendly heads up nonetheless. And then, of course, the coins that are profitable to mine haven't changed all that much either. The roster's about the same. Nothing's really fallen off of the profitability charts. You got Firo, you got your Beam, you got your Equilibria, Ryo, and what else? Quark Chain, Ravencoin, Ycash at the bottom of the line. And then Conflux with a few others as well. Zero, Ergo, Ethereum Classic, Ryo, and then I think Flux is the only one that has fallen off of this side of the profit charts, but running a Flux node still remains profitable. So if you have a single board computer or some low power compute device, maybe that's the way for you to go, is to take a look at that. Let's check into our portfolios and see what's good in the public portfolios. Polaris Raven 13 is asking, mineyourbiz, what are your thoughts about the great hash migration happening on the 13th? I am not going to be a part of it. I know that it's an experiment, it's a test, and that's really, really cool. Best of luck with that. I think it's going to be really exciting to see what happens, but I think it's going to be a lot like when the miners tried to organize a walkout of Hashrate or a moving of Hashrate from one pool to another on Ethereum. I think it's going to fall on deaf ears, certainly for the Ethereum core developer group, and I think that it's going to be something that is seized upon by some of the smaller projects that maybe don't really merit survival in the next bear market. And I'm just going to dead name it. I don't know that Ravencoin actually deserves to make it through a bear market. I know, unpopular opinion, but I don't know that it actually merits that. I don't know what good they've done. I don't know what good they've done to the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem with what they've worked on. Hierarchical deterministic nodes. Cool. Hierarchical determinism is a very cool thing. It's a very cool technology when it's applied in the right way. I don't know that it matters in setting up node structure, node infrastructure. Being able to mint from the wallet, well, guess who also learned how to do that trick? Bitcoin Cash. And yeah, the Deadwood says, Red Panda, remember they attacked Red when he wanted to consolidate a community to test and see. Yeah, so guys, I've got nothing against any of the other dudes making the content out there. Like, good, more power to them. I hope they do great with this test, but I'm just not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to be publicizing it because, in my opinion, it's just not. I just don't think it's something that I don't think it's a question that needs to be answered right now. And I think that trying to like dip our toes in the water early will only give us a false positive. And it'll give us a false positive for some of the smaller projects that are just really loud and obnoxious on social media, whether they actually deserve to make it through the next bear market or not. Yeah. So Dig Deep Miner saying Red Panda didn't mean any ill will. Not at all. Of course not. That's just it. Red's super cool. And all the guys who make the mining content are super cool. And that's what I'm getting at. It's not, when I say that I'm not going to participate, it's not personal at all. I think they all do really great work. They make really great content. But I think that the test itself is asking the wrong question at the wrong time, if that makes sense. So I can respect the heck out of these guys and respectfully disagree that this is something that needs to happen. So, So Sean C is in the chat saying, hey, hope everyone's having a great day. Great to see you in the chat. Proof of live stream, reading your comments. But yeah, so that's my take on it, guys. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing. I don't know that I'm interested in finding out the answer to that question, which coin will win in this early test. I think it's going to give us a false positive. I've said that in a couple of different ways, and without saying anything disparaging about other coin projects, because I don't want to be too like harsh or anything. I think there are a few projects that right now, while profits are still up, are going to try to curry favor when it kind of doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter yet, because Ethereum hasn't stopped offering rewards yet, and until that's the case, well, Ethereum is like slaughtering everything else by way of daily profit. I mean, it's not even fun, not even close, right? Firo is $2 less per day on the RTX 3090 Ti. Anybody who's serious about earning profits in this space they're not going to be involved in a test like that for very long. Like if you had multiple racks full of 3090 Ti's, you could not afford to leave them pointed at Firo for like 3 days or a week. It would totally mess up the economics of what you're trying to do there, right? If you had 100 of those cards every single day, you're learning, you're losing, right? About $200 a day. Not good. Not good at all. I wouldn't be involved in it for very long myself. So I can't in good conscience support a test like that. I just don't think it's going to be helpful or healthy, right, for us to try to test early. But our portfolios, guys, in a nutshell, let's just talk really briefly. It looks like, what's going on here? Looks like our portfolios have lost all of, what am I missing here? Oh, there we go. That's because it's a different side of the portfolio. GPU mining portfolio, guys. It looks like over the 7-day, we've only got a couple that are actually up in the green. Gemlink apparently is doing really, really well. We don't have any kind of a position in place there, though. The chart itself looks manipulated AF, and it's below $1 million market cap. So I don't know how sustainable that is. Etho protocol also spiking up and down, looking like a polygraph test. Why? Because this could be a lie. Oh, yep. Let's just said it out loud, guys. I'm not trying to do them dirty, but that's a weird looking chart. That's sus. Go to the very top of the list where we actually have a little bit more volume and a little bit more market cap. Zero is doing all right, 8% up and looking a lot more organic than the other charts we looked at. Conceal also looking kind of spiky, looking kind of wash traded. Don't know why. Conceal, you don't need to do that. You really don't. You got support in the community organically. Ryo Currency also with a couple of crazy high frequency spikes earlier in the week at 1.5 million market cap. Interesting, but guys, we're going to see projects like this could be the next on the chopping block as we move towards bear conditions. Safecoin also looking manipulated AF. Jeff, what's going on over there, man? Please tell me nothing's being wash traded or on safe.trade, because we need resources like safe.trade, and Safecoin is the main trading pair. Flux is looking very healthy. Very healthy indeed. Our P&L is still positive, and we're almost 3% up over the last week with a massive spike a couple days ago. Good on ya, Flux team. Those who are running Flux nodes, I'm sure, are very happy right now at getting those rewards without having to really shell out for power costs on GPU mining. Hard drive mining, it's been a, what does they say? A poop show? A crap fest? A turd sandwich? These are all really, really terrible things to say, but MaidSafe coin is looking positive over the last week. It's 5.2% up, but also looking manipulated, quite manipulated. Chia still down, still plumbing the depths, still pondering every bad choice that led to this point, moving in slow motion and then freeze framing and saying, "You're probably wondering how I got in this mess." That's Chia right now. You're welcome. I'm here all week. All right, so that's all I want to say about hard drive mining coins. And I tried to warn you last year, guys. It never sticks around. It always seems like this brilliant idea until people realize, like, oh, it's not that great, is it? Yeah. And then we just move on. Again, it's a cycle. CPU mining, what's good? Not much, but we do have some coins that are still in the black as far as our overall hodl. Epic Cash is doing okay in that regard, but losing 27% in a week. Why? Because the fundamentals are not strong enough. Epic Cash is essentially, let's just call it like a glorified grin, right? Kind of a glorified grin coin where you got Mimblewimble implemented. You got 3 different types of proof of work, but when the going gets tough, your hodlers start dumping. Unfortunately, I think that's what's happening with Epic Cash. You got a lot of people who are trying to fly to safety, trying to fly to harder currencies, and so they are dumping and dumping and dumping. That big old market cap, hopefully the Epic Cash developer team has been able to carve out a treasury. Hopefully they've been smart about the profits that they have made, and they will stash away some treasury funds to be able to build through this bear market, the impending bear market. Because if this trend continues, man, they're going to dip below the 8-figure mark at some point, and things will get really dire for them at that point. But 14.5 million in market cap, who knows? They might survive. They might. Raptorium, guys, these guys are solid as a rock. Steady Eddie. That's what I call Big Piggy and Charlie, respectively, like together. Steady Eddie. These guys are going to be in it for the long haul. I can pretty much guarantee you. Why? Because they've been in it for the long haul, and they are independently funded. So not worried about their funding source, not worried about their development source moving forward. They're still in the money, by the way, which is pretty awesome to see. But over the last 7 days, what do we got? Raptorium has been hit the least worst, barely down 0.5% over 7 days. It's awesome to see. Just absolutely love to see that. Wownero is down to 9.5 cents, holding okay, but kind of bouncing off of support. We'll see how it stacks up against Dogecoin as we look at our ASIC mineable portfolio. This is where it gets fun, boys and girls. Bitcoin down, Zcash down, Litecoin down, everything down. Everything's in the red, but what's least in the red? Litecoin. Dogecoin, where are you at? 12.9 cents, clearly doing all right this last week. Decoupled from Bitcoin, decorrelated from everything else. Falling off a cliff? Yeah, it's hitting a big red candle, but it's doing slightly different movements from everything else. And I think that some of the most recent news cycle, especially when it comes to like, celebrities talking about their support of it and new projects injecting new blood and new interest like Dogechain. I think that Doge is going to keep it interesting. I mean, words you never thought you'd say before, but I'm going to say something crazy. Dogechain brings privacy to Dogecoin. Think about it. Tornado Cash can be forked and implemented on Dogechain. It can't be implemented on Dogecoin. So I'm actually really excited. I'm really excited. Polaris Raven asking, been a while since I asked, but how is 0x Bitcoin? We're about to find out. Boy. FPGAs. Cadena is still in the black as far as our long-term hodl. 0x Bitcoin is down 40% since, it's actually taken quite a beating. As far as the long-term hodl, it was in the money for a short period of time, break even and then above. That was the time to take profits. I was pretty clear about it then. Still true. It's actually our biggest loser. 0x Bitcoin is just taking a face punching, and the manipulation of that market is clearly gone. So I think there was some golden moment that somebody took advantage of to do that really high frequency scalping with, and they made their money and they moved on. Wherever they are, retired on a beach somewhere, sipping Mai Tais, we salute you. 0x Bitcoin plunderer. Wherever you are, we hope you're living it up, because we had some fun. Didn't we? Look at us, checking out your old school charts, reminiscing about where you are now. 0x Bitcoin plunderer. Yes, we miss you and we wish you well. But proof of stake smart contracts. Terra is doing all right. It's doing all right. It's a little 10x. Doing all right still as far as our initial long-term hodl, but it's not, without its risks. It's definitely been volatile the last couple of weeks, and today's big red candle has affected it as well. Avalanche, Solana, Phantom, and then Wax rounds off our top 5. Great to see Wax still in the top 5 and in the black, according to our long-term hodl. Though it might be a very important time if you are holding onto Wax for the long term. It might be an important time for you to just consider some kind of stop loss, consider pegging so that you don't lose your original investment, your initial investment. It pains me to say that, but you got to consider it, right? As we approach that break-even point, you got to think about it. Cosmos Hub and Binance Coin as well. Biggest loser in this category for the last week, though, is Phantom. Phantom's getting hit hard, but same with Wax. 20% drawdown in a week. You got to ask yourself some hard questions and then be very real about what the possible solutions are. Tron is up by 17%. How? Man, I don't know. I can't pretend to make sense of that. They've got a heck of a lot of money to potentially wash trade with at over $7.5 billion. So take that for what it's worth. Junk Drawer. Show us everything you got. Show us your best, Junk Drawer. Everrise and Saitama Inu still in the money, but if we look at the 7-day, it's Luffy, Everdome, and Hex that are winning. What? Everdome and Hex? You don't know anyone who's been talking to you about that recently, do you? Oh, right. I was talking about that recently, guys. The Everdome and the entire Tenset Launchpad family of projects, I'm still super bullish on, and I still actually do believe that Fame MMA has some real potential in this month. When everything else is going red, I think that we've got some opportunity there, but Everdome is going to be where that's built. 59% up over this week. Super exciting. Almost $500 million in market cap right there. Luffy, I'm going to call it a dark horse. It's just one of those meme coins that for me, I don't understand the fundamentals of it, so I can't speak to it there. And then Hex, of course, it's built with certain pumpamentals that are designed to do this at some point or another. Like we expect for this to happen at some point, and it is inflationary. So those who are holding Hex are going to do well there. That's no big secret. The question is, do you have that risk tolerance, right? People always know there's always a risk. always. So do you have that risk tolerance for hex? Either you do or you don't. I'm not going to tell you what to think there. IBC Gang, let's look at the 7-day. It looks like Secret has taken the biggest hit. Cadena, the next biggest hit. Akash Network also, double-digit hits. So hopefully it recovers before I get that stage time with Greg Osuri. Shout out again. Really appreciate him being such a great sport about wanting to do that live event with Daniel Keller and the Flux Network. But they're taking kind of a hit this week. You hate to see it. $500 million market cap on Cadena, giving them plenty of strength in their treasury. But Akash Network, maybe a little more lean in what they have to operate with. Persistence and Regen are our biggest losers, though. And then let's go back over to our Tenset Gems. I want to see what the entire family of coins is doing. Yep, Tenset up 33%. MetaHero up or down 6%. Conga Exchange down. And then Fame MMA, we don't have a full 7 days of info on it because technically it's supposed to have launched today. 31 cents. That's its official listing price right now. Guys, that's our show. I'm so excited to share with you the portfolio. So excited to share with you my top picks. What do you think about, again, the news articles from today? That pick from 2 weeks ago, Dogechain. I'm still interested in it. Do you want to see a deep dive? Do you want me to try to chase somebody down from the development team? Maybe even for an Anon interview. Maybe I can get some snippets from them. Do you want me to try to get something going there? Let me know in the comment section, guys. You're the reason I make this media. And we're not going anywhere, guys. When the going gets tough, Mind Your Biz doubles down. We're going to go talk to some builders. So appreciate you watching all the way to the end, being subscribed, smashing like. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Remember to check out mineyour.biz, where you can sign up for Mind Your Biz Insiders, our occasional newsletter where we don't spam you, but we do send out occasional important information, including flash sales and important deals on privacy-preserving technology. This is one of the ways that we can talk to you without censorship and without the oversight of third-party media platforms. You can also check out the new MyYourBiz phone, as well as merch or sign up to become an affiliate for anything sold directly on the mineyour.biz website. You can earn a percentage of anything that we sell. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.